What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for Kaiju number 8. This is episode 8 and also episode 9 as well. And with me, as always, I have Loose Paid.
Yeah. So, of course, episode 8, we pick up where Kafka's trying to defend himself against Vice Captain Soshiro. He already seen like how lethal Soshiro's blades are, but he's having to deal with them like up close and personal. Now, at the same time, Kafka just tries to do his best to not hurt Soshiro in the process, but of course Soshiro, at first, like, he doesn't really take into account that Kafka never really tries to attack him, uh, at all throughout the entire fight. He just basically Kafka does his best to avoid him at any cost. But if, of course, he still gets slashed at several points during the fight, including up to the point where Kafka's what was it? His kaiju core gets exposed.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, eventually Kafka manages to get away. He just, he's able to, I don't know if he distracts him or if he, like, kind of injures him so that he can escape. Um, but he gets away. Um, and, yeah, and of course, now the captain is kind of interested in Kaiju number 8 and tries to look into him more, or I guess what Kaiju number 8 is. Uh,
Yeah, he informs Mina Ashura that he suspects what was it like he calls kaiju number 8 like a dai kaiju, like a rare and powerful type of kaiju. I mean,
mhm.
we've seen like how powerful Kafka is in that form, but he Soshiro, of course, acknowledges that while fighting Kafka in that form, he of course acknowledges that he never even tried to fight him even once. Of course, like the only amount of offense Kafka did was just punching out Soshiro's what was it Soshiro's swords out of his hand. So that was pretty much about it. And then it moves us on to the next day in which much of this defense force is recovering from the battle, particularly Reno, who got injured during his fight against what was it Kaiju number 9. Speaking of that Kaiju, like we see that Kaiju again, and he ends up killing another man and taking his appearance, and pretty much goes into hiding afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. So of course he gets away. Um, and a lot of, like, I think the remainder of the episode, a lot of it was like kind of more like slice of life stuff because it's just the team and Kafka just sort of I guess kind of like celebrating the fact that they sort of, in a way, I guess, succeeded in their mission. Um, and yeah, it was just a lot of that. Um, and then episode 9 is where like things really start to get crazy again.
Well,
Uh,
there's another thing that happened in episode 8. Is one Kafka also gets promoted to officer, who of course it was under the recommendation of Soshiro, who informs Mina about this as well. So yeah, it's pretty much another step for Kafka to in his personal goal to get closer to Mina one day. So by the end of the episode, of course,
and I think
Mina.
like they actually do like actually get to talk to each other for a little bit too in the episode as well, where like Mina, I think, like congratulates him.
Yeah.
Um, but that's kind of like the extent of their conversation because she ends up just walking away. And she like I don't know. It's like I guess that's gonna how it's sort of gonna be with them throughout the whole series. Like they're just kind of she's gonna be kind of like distant from him up until maybe a certain point, but it's just
Mhm.
gonna be like that for most of it. Which honestly is kind of annoying to me because it really just doesn't give their relationship any way to really develop or anything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And of course, Mina, of course, leaves Soshiro in charge of the base while she, apparently she's leaving the base to have a meeting with the main headquarters in regards to the kaiju attacks. So yeah, so this of course leads us into the next episode in which Soshiro has to take charge of the defense force and fighting against uh this this another like humanoid red kaiju, in which promotional materials like they call him kaiju number 10, or was it number 10? Yeah, kaiju number
I
10.
think so.
Yeah, so this kaiju like leads like a group of flying wyvern kaiju, uh, and pretty much attacking the third division base, in which I guess the main motivation of this kaiju is to fight someone strong. In which he initially wanted to fight against Mina, but of course, because she left to the main headquarters. It's now Soshiro that he has to end up fighting.
I kind of thought about this, but Soshiro kind of reminded me of Levi from Attack on Titan, just because of like his kind of like his character design and also just the way he fights. The fact that he like uses like two knives, uh, and also like his like agility, I guess, like his general fighting style. It just kind
Mhm.
of seems like a character was inspired by that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot I think the creator said he took a lot of inspiration with some other projects, particularly like Shin Godzilla as well. I mean, it's pretty
Yeah,
interesting considering that
yeah. He
the
said
studio.
the series like was heavily inspired by Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, and well, considering that Studio Karo is also working on this, which of course Hideki Anno also worked on Shin Godzilla, so that's an interesting dynamic there.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so most of the episode is this attack um, on the kaiju defense forces base from these wyvern kaiju. Eventually, like Kafka tries to inform them that of the weak point of these wyvern kaiju because they're I think it's not that their bullets are necessarily like ineffective against them, but they can't really hurt them from the front, so they have to try to hit them from the back where they're vulnerable. So they try to just develop a strategy where one of them will distract one of the wyvern kaiju from the front, while somebody else tries to hit it from behind. But it seems like the wyvern kaiju are also implementing their own, I guess, their own tactics to try to to also in trying to prevent them from doing that. I guess.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, and then also we have this fight going on between kaiju number 10 and the captain, and it kind of eventually ends up moving into the I guess the training grounds where the captain was trying to lure him into the training ground so that um, he can release more of his release more of his power,
yeah.
so that he doesn't hurt anybody else.
He
um,
he he does lay like a lot of significant blows against this kaiju to the
yeah,
point where he.
but of course he just regenerates, so I mean it doesn't matter really like how much he cuts him up, he just ends up regenerating, so really he just I guess has to destroy his core, which at one point he does expose his core, but kaiju number 10 has like I guess another form that he can transform into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and of course, so we also see what was it, Kikuro Shinomiya utilizing a brand new weapon that was given to her under special consideration from both Mina and Soshiro. I mean, technically, she's not like the same. Like, she's not technically an officer as both of them, but they see her, her potential of like how powerful that she really is to even wield this weapon.
Yeah. So she just kind of ends up, attacking all of the wyverns from the front and cutting through them with this axe that she has now. And I guess it has like, I guess different, three different modes or attack forms,
Hmm.
that she can use. But yeah, she just kind of ends up effortlessly killing some of these wyverns with this axe, um, being assisted by Reno, and yeah, so they go off and while Kafka is basically like trying to go and help any of the injured.
Yeah, and so of course, like we cut back to what was it, Soshiro and his fight against Kaiju number 10. But like we mentioned before, every time he tries to expose the core, the number 10 manages to somewhat like I get his core away from his blade strikes to the point where now he's like evolved into like a more gargantuan version of himself that that Soshiro is now going to have to deal with by the next episode.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, it definitely seems like this episode is kind of setting up, I guess, for the, I guess you'd say the season finale. Since like we're on episode 9, so I mean, it probably is setting up for that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like where it's going. I like that it's already kind of just going, just I mean, we just got finished with another major fight. Now we're moving on to another one.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I like how it's kind of just already like kind of raised the stakes in a way, and it's also revealing another kind of like a humanoid intelligent kaiju. Um, it's showing that I guess these kaiju are more organized than we might think they are.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm hoping they go a little bit more into that. Maybe there's something else going on with behind the scenes or something. But um, yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I don't really have too much else to say about it. I guess it's just that it felt like Kafka wasn't really given too much to do this episode except like run around and try to tell everybody what the weak spots of the Wyvern Kaiju. I'm guessing he'll probably end up having to help out the captain with Kaiju number 10. Maybe have to transform back into his Kaiju form. But
I
it,
mean,
it, it is
that's still a risk. It's still a risk for
yeah.
him to even
Uh,
transform in front of
I mean,
him.
what was interesting too is that it seems like he's now learned, I guess, that he can transform just certain parts of his body, and he doesn't have to fully transform into the kaiju. Like like at one point, he was trying to save one of his comrades from being killed, and he just transformed his legs into like kaiju legs so he could run faster. Um, but yeah, I mean, it seems like he at least is gaining a little bit more control over his abilities.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to say about the episode though.
Yeah. There's another thing that's
Yeah.
I think they said sometime next week that they're planning and announcing like a new project for Kaiju number 8. I could assume that they might announce the second season for this, but I
Hmm.
mean personally, like I would love for them to announce maybe a Kaiju number 8 and Godzilla crossover, considering that Studio Karo is also working on this, and maybe Ano might get involved and like implement Shin Godzilla into the storyline, or maybe in like maybe a spin-off storyline of something.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would have to be because I'm pretty sure that's not in the manga. So
I
if
mean,
they did do something like that,
yeah, yeah. Godzilla is not really in the Kaiju number 8 manga series. So I mean, it would be great if they were to like to make like a I don't know like a separate film project for Godzilla to make an appearance. Whether or not he'll
mm.
be an ally or an enemy, that that's up to them. But it'll be interesting just to add Godzilla in there. Plus, it would like it would fit into the main universe, seeing as like the Defense Force is fighting off like all these different kaiju's.
Yeah. But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.